My name is Michael, and I've always been an avid camper. I've spent countless nights under the open sky, gazing up at the stars and feeling a deep connection to the cosmos. But one camping trip would forever change my perspective on the universe and leave me with a chilling tale that still haunts my every waking moment. It was a clear summer night when I set out for a solo camping adventure deep in the heart of the wilderness. I chose a remote location, far away from the city lights, to maximize my stargazing experience. The stars above were a breathtaking sight, sparkling like diamonds in the ink-black sky. Little did I know that those same stars would become the backdrop for an otherworldly encounter. I had just settled into my sleeping bag, the crackling of the campfire lulling me into a peaceful state. The forest was silent, save for the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant call of a night owl. As I drifted off to sleep, I felt an inexplicable sense of unease, as though I were being watched. I awoke with a start, my heart racing, to an intense, blinding light that pierced through the walls of my tent. It was a light unlike anything I had ever seen before, a brilliant, pulsating glow that seemed to emanate from every direction. Panic surged through me as I realized I couldn't move. My body was paralyzed, as if held captive by an invisible force. Through the thin fabric of my tent, I saw the ground beneath me recede. It was as though I were floating, weightless, and then I was lifted off the ground entirely. In a surreal moment of terror, I was pulled out of my tent and into the blinding light, unable to resist or comprehend what was happening. The next thing I knew, I was aboard a metallic vessel of incomprehensible design. The walls were sleek and featureless, and the air had a sterile, metallic tang to it. I lay on a cold, hard surface, unable to move, surrounded by an oppressive silence broken only by the hum of machinery. And then they appeared. Otherworldly creatures, unlike anything I had ever imagined, entered the room. They were tall and slender, with elongated limbs and heads that seemed too large for their bodies. Their skin was a pale, sickly gray, and their eyes were large, dark voids that seemed to pierce through me. Fear coursed through my veins as they approached, their movements graceful and calculated. Their touch was cold and alien, like the metallic surface of the vessel itself. They communicated in a language of strange guttural clicks and eerie hums, a language that was utterly incomprehensible to me. I watched in helpless horror as they began to examine me with instruments that defied all logic and reason. They probed my body, their metallic hands gliding over my skin with an unsettling detachment. It was as though I were nothing more than a specimen to be dissected and studied. Time lost all meaning as the ordeal continued. I had no sense of how long I had been aboard that vessel, subjected to their inscrutable examinations. It was as though the boundaries of reality had blurred, and I was trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape. At one point, they brought a device closer to me, a device that emitted a pulsating, otherworldly hum. I could feel its vibrations resonating within me, as though it were delving into the very core of my being, extracting secrets I didn't even know I possessed. It was a violation of my very essence, a violation that left me feeling vulnerable and exposed. As the ordeal continued, I couldn't help but wonder what their intentions were. Were they scientists from some distant world conducting experiments on a hapless human? Or did they have more sinister motives, motives that I could scarcely comprehend? And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The beings retreated, their metallic hands retracting, and the blinding light began to fade. I was once again weightless, suspended in the void of the metallic vessel. My paralysis lifted, and I could move once more. I found myself back in my tent, the brilliant light replaced by the soft glow of the moon filtering through the fabric. It was as though I had never left, as though the entire experience had been nothing more than a horrific dream. But I knew it was real. The memories of that night are etched into my mind with a chilling clarity that defies all explanation. I have tried to make sense of it, to find some rational explanation, but there are none to be found. It was an encounter that transcended the boundaries of human understanding, an encounter with beings not of this world. I've shared my story with only a few close friends, but most dismiss it as a product of my imagination or the result of some kind of hallucination. But I know the truth, and the truth is that I was taken, abducted by beings from the stars. I still lie awake at night, staring up at the same stars that were the backdrop to my otherworldly encounter. I can't help but wonder if they are out there, watching, waiting, and if I will ever have to face them again. The unknown terrifies me, and the memories of that night continue to haunt my every waking moment.